The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us. This is my first day back after being sick for, well, it's been over a week. And, if you don't have the voice for it, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to have to listen to somebody who has a crackly voice. And, it was a mess last week. And even though I didn't feel horrible all last week, I felt like I needed to actually be able to take a break. I've been running nonstop, and instead of keep going, because I had an end date in my head as far as what I needed to get to be able to start kind of be able to relax a little bit from just a crazy October. Early November was pretty crazy as well. and trying to figure it all out. And one of the last things I needed to do was Twin Cities Con. And if you remember, if you were tuning in to the Casual Friday that we did over a week ago now, it was Adam and myself, and we were at Twin Cities Con, which was absolutely fantastic, first of all. And ended up we had somebody at the station who had COVID. And so we started to do some, testing. We weren't feeling bad, but we're all testing to make sure that we were doing all right. And went to Twin Cities Con on Friday. It was absolutely if you heard Adam and myself on that broadcast, you would have thought we were high because we were so excited from the day. Saturday comes, I test in the morning, negative. And as the day goes on, I just start feeling like I have the flu. I feel horrible. And I asked Adam, would you mind taking over the table, which he was doing brilliantly anyway. And so I went home and I tested again, and there I had it. I had COVID. And for those who have heard the sad song that I played the last time that I had COVID, that was very scary. It was a very serious situation. I mean, COVID is always serious, don't get me wrong, but it was very serious. And I was also very worried about having been there because at Twin Cities Con, because I didn't want to be a super spreader event, and it wasn't. But it was very, I was worried about it, but so I couldn't go back Sunday. And from there, I just had to recuperate. And luckily for me this time, the COVID was nothing more than pretty much a flu for me. That's really what it was. It was a flu, and it was kind of like something forced me to take a break. I just needed one more day, though. Let me give you the scope of Twin Cities Con. Twin Cities Con is visited by 40,000 people, and about 39,990 of them didn't know what GhostBox Radio was. And so it was really cool because people would stop by. On either side of us, we had Star Wars people. And when I Star Wars people, they were like selling collectibles and stuff, like trading cards and stuff, all sorts of things. I have no idea what it is. And but people would stop by. Occasionally you get someone be like, oh, I've listened to you. And we'd want to bronze them, obviously. And but people would come by and we'd be like, hey, this is what we do. We're not really selling anything except knowledge about what we do in our show. And I think one of the things that we don't really talk about all that often is that the show is podcasted. Every episode is podcasted and is running, available on Spotify and iHeart and Apple Podcasts and all of the fine places that you get your podcast. But we don't really talk about it so much, and I need to do a better job of that. But that's what one of the main things we were there for, because so many people were like, like, we're on the air every night at 10 p.m. and they're just like, oh my God, like they were recoiling into themselves that 10 p.m. is so late at night. And I get it. It is. But you don't do paranormal shows at 3 in the afternoon. Well, I mean, we used to, but, that's just kind of how it was. And it was really, it was really fun to be able to talk to them. And then they'd be like, oh, are you podcasting? And we'd say where, and we'd hand out a card to them. And, if anyone has listened, and that's another thing I felt really bad about too, is like, I'm telling everyone, listen, well, we're going to have a great week of programming. It's going to be amazing. And then I'm sick, but we reran some really good episodes, and there's a lot of good stuff to choose from. But, you have that momentum. And we're just sitting here like, oh my gosh. And I ended up getting some business cards from Vistaprint. And I mentioned this before. I might have mentioned that Friday that we did the last show. And that if you have listened, we had the founder of Twin Cities Con, Ben Penfold, on the program. And he was, and I didn't know the numbers. As Linda puts in the comments, 40,000 sounds intimidating. But I'm thinking we're going to have 5,000 to 6,000 people. I ordered a princely 200 business cards for this event. And I finally ordered a new a vertical banner, because the old one had literally everything. There's not one right piece of information on. Even the picture of me, which I didn't replace, is from 90 pounds ago. So it was completely off. So I ordered a new one, still with the good looking picture in it though, and all the right information, such as the date, the time we're on, how to find us, the right website, all those silly things. So we did all of that. But when I had Ben on, he brought on writer Aaron, writes Effin' Birds, and Aaron asked him, well, how many people show up to this thing? And I'm like, I know this is 6,000 to 7,000, right? And he's like, yeah, we're probably, I think last year we hit about 35,000. We're looking at probably about 40,000 this year. And I thought, well, I don't know if 200 cards are going to cut it. I hope that they don't. So we ended up, because we have this wonderful relationship with Minutemen Press in Uptown, which are not in Uptown. They're actually over off of Dowling. And they printed up some more, another 700 cards for the show, which was very kind, and they're beautiful. I mean, everything, as I said that Friday that I was last on, everything that Minuteman Press prints is absolutely fantastic. And I'm working with them right now for the yearly Matt McNeil calendar that comes out. And it was great. We needed it. We ran out of cards. We had a stack of cards that Shar and I do for Ghost Stories and Beyond in Anoka. Gone. They're all taken. And I don't know if that means December Ghost Stories and Beyond, we're going to have this flood of people. At the very least, a lot more people know about it than they did before. And that's the important thing about it. And that was, I think, the most exhilarating part for me for Twin Cities Con was the ability to be able to promote ourselves, and that people were excited that there was this paranormal voice in the Twin Cities that they could listen to. And it was truly something that it was just amazing. And then Adam, he had to be there by himself Sunday. His wife was with him. Danielle was with him, and they managed the table just brilliantly. They did a really nice job, and it was really nice that they were able to just pick up the mantle and go. And it was actually very fun. I've never really done anything like this with Adam. As you know, Adam does a show with me Wednesdays and Fridays, and what we do is we just chat and whatever else. For him to be able to not only talk about the show, but he was able to talk about his own experiences. And backing up even a little bit further, he has said, and he's kind of come to the conclusion with, is that he's been investigating the paranormal in his own way his entire life. He just never realized it. That it was really fun to hear him have a piece of what was going on in his life from a paranormal standpoint. So he's not just somebody who's like, yeah, the show is really cool and you should tune in. He's able to explain to people, if people are coming up and saying, hey, this is what we're experiencing, he's able to give his two cents in it as well, because that's what a lot of this is. This is what this is all about. Quite a bit is people coming up to you and they want to tell their story to you. And sometimes it's tough because you're not sure what's the best response to certain things, or someone who's done this long enough might be able to be like, well, that's clearly this or that. But when somebody is trying to tell you something that means a great deal to them, the least we can do is listen and be able to offer either encouragement or advice or whatever else. And we had a number of friends stop by. I see, Cynthia, you're in the comments here. Twin Cities Con was a fun event. Missed you on Sunday, but a great time talking paranormal events with Adam. He is so nice, very much so. He really, and he had mentioned that you'd stop by. He sent me a text, and then I saw your comment on my on my thread that I started on Facebook. One of the few that I started, like, I'm on the mend. I'm going to go ahead and be back tonight or whatever else, and then it never happened. It's one of the things that I've learned from the last time I had COVID, and I'm sure you all kind of feel the same way in your own way, is the fact that you have to know when to take a break. And even though I knew that a break would be needed for me coming up, that just wasn't how it went. But after the fact, after I got that sickness, that I knew that if I still wasn't 100% there, why force it? Just relax, just chill, literally just chill, and just let things happen. And like the radio show will be there, and everything else will be there. I mean, hopefully. I mean, radio, you never know, but it seemed pretty safe. And you just enjoy it. You just enjoy and take the rest and everything else. And that's an important thing. It's something I learned with the last COVID for sure. That because you need to be able to recuperate. It took me, and I'm not alone here. I know this. It took me well over a year to recuperate from the last COVID that I had, because there was just so much going on there, and you just have to listen to your body as well. Linda asked the question, did you get a chance to see other booths? And we absolutely did. I did walk around Friday mainly, and maybe a little bit Saturday. I don't quite remember. I don't think Saturday. I think I pretty much stayed to myself. Friday, walked around. You may remember author Joe Prozit. He had a booth at Twin Cities Con, so I was able to stop by, say hi. Council Room, they're the Doctor Who convention that I'm working with this year. They had a booth that was going insanely well for them as well. It was really fun to see that. We had a number of different conventions stop by. There's one up in Fargo that had asked if I wanted to speak up there. We'll see if that happens or not. It was really great, and a lot of great artists, and a lot of stuff that I have to be perfectly honest, I'm not so certain that I'm too interested in, but I could see why people would be. And the idea of the 40,000 people, Linda, I wanted to kind of get back to real fast. We're talking about the intimidation of that. And I think that's a fair response. The way we were in the Minneapolis Convention Center, and the Minneapolis Convention Center is massive. It is huge. And there's 3 big domes in this thing. And each one is its own massive expo area. And Twin Cities Con was in 2 of them. So it was busy, but I don't think that you could look at it and be like, oh my gosh, this is just 40,000. They're all on top of me. I don't really feel that way. I mean, granted, you had that situation that you always do at these things where, you know, in the intersections of the lanes where you're walking, that's where people decide that they need to stop and take their pictures and stop and talk. You know, that's the sort of thing that you just can't escape no matter what you do. I remember being at Twin Cities Pride in June and being like, this is such a positive event. This is such, you know, a gathering of love and like-minded people, and people being very happy and everything else that, you know, normally I get very, very, annoyed walking and stuff. But because it's such a good event, I think I'm going to be able to just enjoy it. And no matter how slow people walk, I'm going to be just fine. Well, that lasted 5 minutes. And I'm just like, I'm going to push these people into the pond. I don't care what happens. I just, you know, why can't you walk faster? You know, all that good stuff. And that's just unfortunately how I am. I was blessed with long legs. And so I'm a fast walker. I take big strides when I walk. And I keep trying, honestly, I keep trying to do this thing where where I show like, kindness. But boy, when you're in these public situations and you're just like, really, why are you just stopping in the middle of the aisle? There's areas in this place where you could go to either side and there was open space for people to meet. Nobody went over there. But that's just how it is, isn't it? I mean, that's the sort of thing that you get, and that's just how it is. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, I don't know what I want to talk about. We can still talk about Twin Cities Con. Anything on your mind? There's a lot to get through. I haven't been around in a while. Just remembering how to use the equipment. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on MetamorphosisConnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting MetamorphosisConnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's MetamorphosisConnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Lilliput in Coon Rapids dares you to take part in their Haunted Mansion escape room. 100 years ago, a family suffered a tragic incident. Your team is brought in to find out what happened that night, find proof of the supernatural, and help the spirits find peace. Are you up for the task? This incredible escape room is filling up fast, so book now. Also, a perfect outing for work team building. Go to lilliput.net now to book your experience today. Greg Bakun here. Like many of you, I still collect physical books, and not just any books, but books about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. I go to Megas Books and Herbs, located in the Arts District of Minneapolis, but books are only part of it. Megas Books and Herbs offers crystals, jewelry, herbs, oils, and consultations on how to use this stuff. Check out their in-store classes and events too. This place has everything to expand your horizons. Located at 1848 Central Avenue, Minneapolis, or visit megasbooks.com.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Recently, I had a large order of custom designed t-shirts that needed to be turned around in a hurry. I knew exactly who to call. Grady Gear Company. Grady Gear Company is a local company that handles large and small custom clothing and apparel orders. I had a lot of questions from color, shirt quality, and what sizes we needed. Grady Gear Company was great to work with. They got us what we needed on time, and now everybody's looking great around the station in their new gear. Start your order at GradyGearCo.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville. And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you very much for joining us on this Monday evening. And, you know, like I said, it's Monday, so it's never too early to plan out the weekend. And we just ran a spot for Lilliput. And, you know, that haunted mansion escape room sounds pretty incredible. And first of all, as you could see, if you're in the Twin Cities area, the rain is a bit annoying. It was pretty heavy. I mean, it's you know, we're getting into the winter seasons here, and I just actually had to go out and pick somebody up from the airport. So I mean, that's fantastic weather to go out in. But you know, the weather is changing. Why don't you, to do something fun? Go out to Lilliput and go to do the Haunted Mansion escape room. They're going to be adding more escape rooms too as the season goes on. This is a lot of fun. I've heard people who've been out there and they love it. And I would definitely talk about going out there with your family, friends. And as I said in the commercial, it makes for a great work outing, especially as we're getting into the holiday season and people want to do something fun leading up to the holidays. Get yourselves ready and do the escape room. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's better than playing Monopoly. So go out there, do something fun and do something where you're thinking a little bit. And this is really well made. Also, Gritty Gear. I just got to say, our T-shirts are now online to be able to purchase for GhostBox Radio. Gritty Gear had done a fantastic job of making these fantastic T-shirts. I'm putting a link up on GhostBoxRadio.com, and if you're interested, please support the show by getting a T-shirt, wearing it. There's 4 different versions of it, and we're really excited. I'm really excited about it. We have sold, I think, 2 so far. And I don't say that jokingly. I mean, kind of jokingly, but at the same time, it's like, it's weird, to get people to buy stuff. And it's weird when people do buy stuff when it has to do with you and all that, that just sort of like internalizing and whatever else. But I'm really proud of these. And I'm really proud that we partnered up with Gritty Gear on those. So please go check it out. Also, Gritty Gear GrittyGearCompany.com. Go over there because Nicole, who runs it, she does a lot of shirts, a lot of designing of her own shirts and stuff, especially the fall shirts and the kind of the spooky Halloween stuff. Those are all her creations. And if you want a really fun T-shirt for the ladies, a cute T-shirt, that has a cute saying on it or whatever else, go to GrittyGearCompany.com. You are going to be able to see some amazing, wonderful designs, and I really am proud that we're a part of them, and that we're working with them, and I'm really proud of the work that they have done to create themselves as a really well-respected T-shirt design company. They do a lot of on-demand work as well. They did our AM 950 shirts, and they are some of the best quality T-shirts I own. Now, if you could see me, you know that, I'm not exactly the best dresser in the world. So, when you're getting good T-shirts, you got to enjoy it. Carol says, talking about Twin Cities Con, so happy you're better. My son, Eric, and my granddaughter, April, went on Sunday I had taken a bad fall. Oh no, so I couldn't come. I hope you're better now. But my son was so surprised Adam knew me and Carrie. They stopped by to say hi for me. I was so disappointed I didn't get to go to see you guys. Well, I really hope that you're feeling better from that fall. Oh, that's nasty. I'm sorry to hear that. And they were surprised and said, man, they knew about Carrie's spooky house and things. Well, it's kind of our job, isn't it, Carol, to know about whose house is haunted in the Twin Cities? I mean, that's the way I look at it. Okay, maybe that's not the case, but obviously your stories and Carrie's stories were very amazing for us. So we definitely wanted to, make sure that they that we remember them and talked about them. And I know there's more to talk about. Let's see who else here. Linda says, I remember the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. That was huge. It was the biggest that I've ever been to. Well, I don't think that the convention center is as big as the Astrodome, but it's pretty big. Okay. I mean, I think when you get to a certain space size, it doesn't matter. It's just big. It's just big. But I did see Cynthia say, first of all, she says that, yes, Adam and I talked to the folks in Fargo. The business cards were a good idea to hand out. Good way to connect to people. Good. And I just revised my my business cards as well, and I'm much happier with them than I had been before. Cynthia goes on to say, I used to work at the convention center and climb to the top of the domes. Well, good for you, Cynthia, because that's not happening with me. You know what? I would actually, because I did look at the infrastructure around the domes about how you climb up and stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're stairs. They're not per se ladders. Who am I kidding? I'm not going to do that. Let's see here. Let's see. Looking at Nancy here. Nancy says, hello there. Glad you're feeling better. Makes two of us. Cynthia says, ooh, t-shirts. And we didn't have any at the con because it's always weird to know how much stock to bring. So, we'll figure that out over time. Linda says, do they offer ladies t-shirt styles? I think the answer to that would be go and check it out. So then I would say, and then she goes on to say regarding the Astrodome, to a 10-year-old, any stadium is huge. In the Twin Cities here, we had a place called the Metrodome, and the same sort of premise as the Astrodome, except I think the Astrodome isn't a inflated sort of, canvasy sort of roof. It's a hard roof. But the Metrodome was one of those where it's the air that props up the roof. And I remember one of the first times I ever been into the Metrodome would have probably been, what was it, in 1985 that we had the All-Star game here. And that was like, because you walk in and because of the pressurizing of the dome, you don't, you kind of are like blown around when you walk in. And then there's that outer ring where it has like all the vendors, like the food vendors and stuff like that. But then when you walk in to the dome, and I think it's probably the same way sorry, just a comment I'm going to get to, and I'm going to try to do this in a way that doesn't make like I'm sounding like I'm making fun of this person. But the breadth of space when you walk into the stadium is incredible, and I'm sure that's the way at all places. The Metrodome was torn down, and the U.S. Bank Stadium was put in its place, and I'm sure it looks beautiful. I've not been in there myself. My rule for like going to an NFL game is not to pay. So if I got the tickets for free, and I used to get them from vendors to go see the Vikings, then I'd go see the Vikings live. I love the Vikings, but I'm not going to pay, $90 to get crappy seats. I can't do it, especially when you watch it on TV and it looks so much better and you don't have to deal with traffic and everything else. But that era seemed to stop just around the time that US Bank Stadium came in to play. And so I have not been to US Bank Stadium yet. And I really don't plan on buying tickets to go see the Vikings to go to US Bank Stadium. I'm more than happy to enjoy to enjoy them on television. Laura asked the question, because don't forget, we are broadcasting to areas that are not the Twin Cities. Laura says, what are the Twin Cities? I never heard of them. Well, the Twin Cities is the Minneapolis and St. Paul in Minnesota. St. Paul is the capital of Minnesota, and it's combined with, it's not combined, but is buddied right up to Minneapolis. And so we call them the Twin Cities. So that's got the history lesson out for the day as well. So we're covering a lot of bases at once here. So with that being said, I find myself suddenly very busy again. And this is something that I'm enjoying, but at the same time, I got to be careful. And hopefully once we get back into December, that I can take some time. We got a lot of things going on with the show that I'm hoping that we can really build this show out with, because one of the things that we had been noticing over the past month is that the show is growing quite a bit, and that it's getting recognition. People know what it is. They're enjoying it. I don't know about tonight's episode, but that's neither here nor there. But they are enjoying it, and I'm very proud of that. And we have some pretty big things in the work. One of them, and one of the things that really stuck out to me, was the fact that and Laura, I'm just curious, what area are you from? Are you in the United States, or I'm just curious. And so and Linda says, I just Googled, the street that primarily divides the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, is the Mississippi River. I'm not sure you can call the Mississippi River a street, but I get your point. The Mississippi River, starts up in Minnesota and goes all the way out to New Orleans. But one of the things that we've been doing, I did a podcast interview today that's going to be on Paraflix sometime next year, and it was really good. Tomorrow I'm doing a program with CL Thomas, and I think that's live. So go and check out. She's out of Las Vegas. We're doing a program tomorrow that she's interviewing me. And then Morgan Knudsen, who had been on the show. Who had been on the show talking about her new TV series that's out of Canada. I'm going to be on her podcast. We're recording that Wednesday, Supernatural Circumstances, and I'm really excited about it. And that's one of the things that really had been ingrained in me with Twin Cities Con is we really have to up our game and promoting the program. So we have that coming up. And I'm not going to get too far into it. Talked about working with the convention for 2025 outside of Minnesota that we are going to be that GhostBox Radio is actually going to be a sponsor for. That we're really excited about that. And the whole purpose is that we do want to grow the program, but we also are looking to be able to cast our net for different types of guests as well. Because I really hope that what some people get out of the program when you are listening to it, and tonight is more literally like we're catching up. I haven't talked to you all in a while, but when we have the guests on, I want to bring on people who you may not have heard of, or that they are talking about certain things that their experiences or their books that they've written. We really want to try to find people who are doing something unique and different. And there are so many talented paranormal investigators around, and they've so many talented teams. But I personally, I don't tend to bring on teams or investigators only because we want to be able to have a different sort of guest profile where trying to not get the same type of people or the same people who are on a lot of other podcasts and stuff. We're trying to be very careful about that. And going 5 nights a week, we try to be very careful also about, not wearing out certain topics, and try to bring in something else that is different than just, just the normal. So that's kind of what we're working on, and it's very exciting. We're in a good place for it. Let's see, we got some more comments here. And so Linda says, when we talked earlier, she meant, I guess, the street that primarily divides the Twin Cities is the Mississippi River Boulevard, is what Nancy says. I've never really noticed, to be perfectly honest. I just know that Minneapolis ends going down 94, which is how I normally do it, from Minneapolis to St. Paul. One ends and one begins. That's the way I see it. Let's see, I'm reading one here. Let's see. Cynthia says, adding on the site investigating is definitely interesting. Adam had the same experiences regarding your Halloween video. What was your experience with the Halloween video? And I'm assuming you mean the broadcast, which we did over at 300 Clifton, and that itself was really something, I think. And this was last year when we did it from the Grand Garage. I was able to take part in some of the investigation, but this time I wasn't able to, and I'm perfectly happy with that, because we had some of the best investigators I know out there working and help. And the best part is showing people how to investigate, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And we're planning on doing more of that. For those of you who've enjoyed us doing live investigations, we're planning on doing more, because it's a lot of fun to do, and we think that people really get something out of it. It also is Chad, the owner of the station. I thought he put it very well himself when he had said that sometimes people don't want to actually investigate; they want to just be in the room. And I thought that was a very interesting thing to say, because I think you're absolutely right, Chad, in the sense that not everyone wants to be the person holding the dowsing rods, or that has the K2 in their hands. And they're not everybody is wanting to take on that role. Some simply want to observe. And that they want to pay to take part in it, but they want to observe. They don't need to be the person, and they want to see, what is it like if I'm watching a show, is this kind of how it is at the show, or is it something different? They want to experience it, and that's what these things do. Cynthia says the light speck passing through the bedroom. Well, there is a lot of them. That's the thing. It truly was what I did not expect, and something that I personally would normally just ignore, in a sense, because it's so overdone. And Cynthia, as a fellow investigator, I would think that you might think the same way about it. Is orbs, it's like, doesn't mean that they're not real, but you're just kind of like, well, that's going to be the easiest thing to just kind of like put to the side. But we knew that this house was completely like clean to a level that we have not seen of any house. My house isn't that way, that's for sure. I mean, the house is immaculate. 300 Clifton is immaculate. So when you're seeing, if you saw one or something, you might be like, oh, well, it happens. But the amount that we saw, and the fact that they were moving in intelligent patterns, I think all of us, including the ones in the room, actually, were the ones who were just very much like, yeah, this is something interesting, and that it was actually making other things happen as well. So there's a lot of good stuff from that. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's take our next break. When we come back, let's continue our conversation. I want to talk about what's coming up this week and what's coming up this month with GhostBox Radio. There's a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a great week. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. What you wear is important. It should be fun, creative, and expressive of your own personality. At Grady Gear Company, we believe that clothing is more than just fabric and threads. It's a form of self-expression and a way to stand out from the crowd. Grady Gear is more than just a clothing brand. We're a community. We're here to inspire and motivate you to embrace your true self. We are a locally owned small business who do custom clothing orders too. Find us at GradyGearCompany.com. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We are going to see the return of psychic medium Char Savoy, where you might have heard her on such other radio programs as this one. And we're going to have her on, and we're going to talk a little bit of astrology. Is there anything good coming up with astrology? We want to talk about just what is happening. It's been really fun to watch Char kind of grow in that area for herself, and really enjoy hearing about it. First of all, the astrology stuff is very much, I'm not going to lie, above, it's over my head a little bit. But somebody like Char is going to be able to help break it down, and we're going to talk about that and other things coming up as well, including her next Charvinity Fair. So there's a lot to talk about. And then Wednesday, we're going to have our friend Paul Blake Smith back. He's been on a couple times before. It's November. What do you talk about in November? Well, one of my favorite things to talk about is the JFK assassination conspiracy. And because when I say favorite, it's certainly not because he was shot. It's more because there is so many layers of complexity. And a couple of years ago, I had somebody on, and we had talked about how this is impossible to be conspiracy. But Paul Blake Smith is going to come on and going to talk about, and he had written a book that's now out of print, but he's going to talk about why this is so still so hotly contested, and why it could very well be a conspiracy. The stuff that he walks us through, and him and I had talked about it a little while ago. It's really interesting, and we don't present these as necessarily trying to change anyone's mind, but what we do want to do is present different points of view. And there's just so many things that add up to be very unique in this particular conspiracy that I want to explore it. And what I like about it too, if you remember our conversations with Paul Blake Smith, and let me remind you, he wrote the book about Eisenhower and the aliens. He wrote the book about President Nixon and Jackie Gleason. Nixon showing Gleason aliens. Paul, if you've listened to him, it's a very matter of fact and logical explanation to where he gets to in these stories. And why that's important to me personally is because I think that you need to have somebody who is, first of all, level-headed and can speak to these subjects in a way that isn't one-sided. And we've had people on before talking about the JFK conspiracy, and there's a certain sort of bias, and really good research is when you don't have the bias, but you have the question, and the purpose is the question is the starting point. That's your thesis. That's your opening statement, and you're trying to get to the answer, and you're trying to figure out the answer. And sometimes the purpose is also you're trying to debunk that question as well. You might sit there and be like, okay, JFK being assassinated, I don't believe that that's a conspiracy. I'm going to go down this. I'm going to go down this road with all the information, and I'm going to see if if that matches or if it doesn't match. And that's where I feel like Paul excelled at. And so that's why I'm looking forward to that conversation with him. I'm like, hey, we could do like a 2-hour one. He's like, no, just an hour. He knows that I'm a lot to deal with, so I get it. But I'm looking forward to that. And once again, folks, if there is anything that any topic that you want us to talk about and that we haven't gone through, I would love it if you could email me and let me know that there is something that you would like me to cover on the show, and we'll do our best to do so. Send me a note over at comment@ghostboxradio.com. And, I'm always looking for show ideas. And there's certain areas, too, that I've would love to be able to, try to find the best people for the guests for these shows. So let me know. Send me a note. Send me something, and we can certainly do that. So let's get back to comments here. Linda says, "Hope you can find a Chandler to talk about JFK." That's an interesting question or interesting suggestion. The only thing that I would say is I would have to find somebody that I would find that I personally would find reputable. And I'm not saying that there's not reputable people, but I find it very interesting. I once had somebody, and she was on a TV show, and I had friended her for a while, and quite frankly, not a very good medium. And she sent me a note one day. And this was somebody who you pay a lot of money to do a reading, and she'll suddenly be like, "I think there's a murder in your area that you need to solve." I'm like, "What?" I have questions about my family. I'd like to get some information. Yeah, but what about? Is there a river nearby where you live? Maybe, I don't know. Because there's a car. If you go down, you can go and you'll probably be able to find the car. And I'm like, what? I'm paying you $350 for this. And she's just like, you should solve a murder. I'm not Scooby-Doo, okay? Anyway, at some point, she sent me a note, and she's just like, because I had reached out to President Lincoln, got his voice on Spirit Box, believe got also his wife. And so she heard it, and she reaches out, and she's like, Lincoln has a message for you. He likes you. He has a message for you. And I'm like, what is it? And she's like, he wants you to vote for Trump. And I'm just like, and that's not a statement on a political statement. It's more of like, no, he didn't. I don't think he reaches out. I don't think he door knocks for any political organization, so it was just like, okay, whatever. You just, the long story of what I'm trying to get to here is I just want to make sure that if we were to go down that route, that there's some really good background that we can make sure that this person is truly a good channeler, because I run into this all the time, and in my opinion, mediums, and Shar, you gotta let me know if you think that I'm even nearly on track with this or not. I think a good medium is somebody who, if they're doing that kind of reading, and like I've had some of the like reading past lives and stuff, and the information is pretty short. And I've often felt the longer and more detailed the reading is about like something that happened in your past that you don't know about, but they're trying to read a past life or something, the more detailed that actually is, the less likely I am to believe. What I'm going with that is, you have like this, it's not like someone might read like, oh, I think you were in England, in maybe Cornwall, and in the mid 1800s, and you got on a ship and you sailed away. Okay. I've had some people though who you mention that to them, like you mentioned the stuff that somebody else has picked up, and they're like, yes, that's what happened. And you left your wife, and she was sold into slavery, and she was sold into prostitution, and you have like 3 kids, and none of them love you. And these stories never are happy. It's always about, and they never are happy endings where like, oh, you two were reconnected. It was more of like, yeah, by the time that this was all done, the mere mention of your name made them want to kill you. It's that sort of thing. And it's just like, okay, all right. So Shar says, I agree. It's not up to us to tell your life story. It should be helping you recall the info or resonate with the memories. That's the way I see it as well. And I don't, and Linda, I'm not so sure if it's fake stories or imagination. I don't for a minute disbelieve that these people are seeing it, but what are they seeing? Are they seeing truly that stream of my life, or are they seeing in fact just the whatever's coming to their mind? And I think it's an easy thing to do. And if I had $1 for every excellent medium I've ever had the blessing to have in my life, for each one of them, and I've every single one of them, I've heard this. I'm not sure if I'm going insane. I'm not sure if this is just something being made up in my head, but this is what I'm getting. That sort of kind of was like, well, it's kind of a self-doubt, and we all have it with everything. Why wouldn't they have it with that? Because, it's so incredible. It's so incredible to be able to have that gift and that ability. I think that's where it's a fine line there between having that gift and also maybe still having that gift, but then imagination takes over as well. Shar says, we just get fragments, and the ego should be stepped aside from creating the story for you. And even as paranormal investigators, we tend to want to create the story as well. And we teach this in our class, that we do not control the narrative. And it's super important how that works. And then Nancy says, Elvis was looking for you. He says you should get up and dance immediately. Yeah, that's going to happen. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Laura says, I watched those guys pull cars out of lakes, rivers. I'm assuming you're talking about the sudden ability that this medium wanted me to become a private detective. Yeah, probably not going to happen. This is what we're going to do. Can you believe it? We're already out of time. It moves so quickly. But we'll be back tomorrow. Shar's going to be with us tomorrow. When we come back tomorrow, Shar, and then Wednesday, Paul Blake Smith. Thursday, Myth or Mystery, Casual Friday. A lot of really good stuff coming up. I'm glad to be back. And tomorrow will be a little bit more contained. Let's just put it that way. But thank you all for joining me and being able to catch up. And we'll be talking more later. Everyone, have a great Monday night. We'll see you tomorrow with Shar Savoy. Have a good evening.